Hello. So, I don't know where this message is going to go. I'm just going to go with what the Lord has given for me to say and see what happens. So last night I was up kind of late, right? And I believe it was intentional because I'm going to name names on this because it's not like a private person, it's a public person, okay? And because of what the message is. But anyway, I don't watch late night TV, like all the late night talk show hosts. I don't even know who they all are, but I know that there was like Stephen Colbert, Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien, like back in the day, right? I don't know who they are nowadays. I think one is Seth Meyers, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, I don't watch that. Oh, Craig Ferguson maybe, but anyway, I don't watch that kind of stuff. Okay. I think it's silly and I think it's immature and juvenile. And 98% of the time, the humor that's talked about on there, and this is even when I was in the world, I felt this way. It's not just because I'm Christian, right? 98% of the humor on there is rude and it's offensive and sprinkled with, I want to say lies, but it's fibbed, it's fabricated, it's made more than it is, like someone like a celebrity could be saying ABC and they'll take a clip, like a 10-second clip of their minute-long speech, and then they'll make a joke about it and use that 10-second clip to coincide with their joke, right? So it's a fallacy, the Lord is saying. Yes, Lord, thank you, hallelujah. So yes, it's a fallacy type of a thing. So anyways, so last night I was awake and I watched other things, and all of a sudden Jimmy Kimmel came on, and I really don't like Jimmy Kimmel. I've never liked Jimmy Kimmel. He's been on the air for years. I don't know how he has a following and an audience, but I don't find him funny, and I actually find him rude and offensive. And last night was no exception. So I know it was from the Lord because, like I said, it was like the right place at the right time kind of a thing, right? And I came across this clip of Jimmy Kimmel, and he was talking about Donald Trump, and I'm gonna say this, like this is what I noticed, and the Lord pointed it out to me, is that he has the devil like literally running through him, okay? And you can see it in his eyes. He kept looking straight at the camera, and I mean, I have spiritual eyes, right? So I can see things spiritually and supernaturally. I could see the demonic energy in his eyes, which has happened to me several other times in my life. I can see it in other people's eyes as well. And it fits because there's nothing about him that is even the slightest bit Christian or anything. And to boot, to actually go further, he was mocking and, being cheeky in regards to Christians, okay? He was kind of being tongue-in-cheek about Jesus and about God and things like this. And he actually made the statement, I can't remember it verbatim, but it was basically like, it's crazy that Christians think that Trump is Christian. That's literally what he said, something to that effect. You could probably find the clip online or something, right, on YouTube if you look. But he said that to something to the effect that Christians are crazy to think that Trump is a Christian, right? So the Lord was highlighting this to me, and it was in a way that the Lord is saying, like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I've been giving you the details on, Amanda, is that this is how the world is going, is that we're physically seeing a divide, like with our eyes, our physical eyes, we're reading comments, we're hearing things, we're physically seeing in the worldly ways a divide and a division between those that are in favor of Trump and those that aren't in favor of Trump. And I touched on this very subject just a few days ago in my last word in regards to Trump, right? I personally am not really into politics, and as far as I'm concerned, like, everybody's flawed. Like, there's no person on the planet that is capable. How is it plausible that we believe that one person can run an entire country? You know what I'm saying? I understand that there's like cabinets and Congress and teams and all this kind of stuff, but how is it that we believe that one single man or woman, but in most cases man, is capable of running an entire country of millions and billions of people, right? And so this is the thing, is I've always said this about Trump, is that he's going to go off track sometimes. He's a human, he's a person. So therefore he's going to sometimes say the wrong thing, think the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. I'm a Christian, full blown, but sometimes I say the wrong thing, think the wrong thing, or do the wrong thing. So do you, right? Like, even though we're Christians, we believe in God, we're still flawed, even if we're chosen ones, right? So I've said this all along, is that he's not going to be able to appease everyone and walk the perfect line, okay? But I've asked the Lord, like, Lord, like, okay, no offense to whoever could be to the listener, but I personally don't care about politics, you know what I mean? But for whatever reason, the Lord has been having me, like, talk about this for the last, like, few months in particular in regards to Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump. And I know it's because this is, like, my, you know, what the States does affects me, and what my prime minister does affects me. But I don't understand how it has any correlation to God, right? Typically, like, it's worldly things, and it should be kind of wrote off, in my opinion, right? However, the Lord has highlighted to me time and time again that there's more spiritual, supernatural things that are going on behind the scenes. That there's two layers. There's the front layer that looks like worldly men, aka Trudeau and Trump, worldly men, and what we see with our physical eyes and hear with our physical ears. But the Lord is saying there is angelic and demonic activity that is going on behind the scenes. No different than how we saw Diddy in a certain light, but then we found out what was going on behind the scenes, right? It's the same type of a thing, is that the Lord is saying, the reason he keeps bringing it to me, even though you wouldn't think he would, it seems out of left field, is because there's a spiritual basis to it. It's the second layer, the behind the facade layer, okay? And so there's times that, you know, good people can act bad and bad people can act good, right? It is plausible. Sometimes angels visit bad people, and sometimes demons try to visit good people. I'm a good person, I'm a Christian, and the devil tries to knock on my door every single day without fail. You know what I mean? And God wants to save people, so of course he's going to send angels to knock on bad people's doors every single day, right? So it's capable of having an angel take over you or a demon take over you. So it's not out to lunch to think that someone could be controlled by the devil and be visited by an angel, and someone could be controlled by God and be visited by a demon. You know what I mean? It's all a matter of just, you know, principle and how it works out, okay? So with that said, the Lord has been showing me that there's key players in this dynamic, this political dynamic, that work for the devil, okay? Whether we believe it or not, see it or not, think they do or not, it doesn't matter. That's what's going on behind the scenes. No different than the Diddy example. We saw what we saw on the forefront, but then we found out what was really going on behind the scenes, being ran by the devil, by a demon, right? It's the same analogy. But that vice versa, there's an opposite to everything, hot and cold, black and white, dark and light, right? That there's also key players that are being ran by God, that are being ran by angels and being watched over by angels. Some have demons hovering around them, some have angels hovering around them. And sometimes the angels try to visit the demonic person to try and save them from their demonic ways. And sometimes demons try to tempt and tease the angelic person to switch teams and go back to the devil's team, okay? And so the Lord is saying is that what I'm talking about is very crucial, because what's happening is that this angelic and demonic activity is running and controlling these key players in the political field. That's not new. We've already seen this. Now, those of us that have spiritual eyes and ears that are Christians, the Lord has granted us a higher wisdom, a higher discernment, right? So we're able to hear and see things that the average person can't. This is why so many people are against Trump, because they're worldly, they're ran by the devil. The devil gave out Koolaid and they drank it, okay? Whereas me and you, chosen one, we're not drinking the Kool-Aid, and we're not going to drink the Kool-Aid. But that's not going to stop the devil from constantly trying to get us to drink the Kool-Aid, right? And so we have angels around us trying to protect us from drinking that Kool-Aid, but because we're in a minority, the devil has served up so many cups of Kool-Aid and so many people have drank it, that the Lord is saying there's literally, like, it's no different than the COVID vaccine, right? 90% of the population took the COVID vaccine, and they were trying to harp on those that didn't take it, Those that stood up against the COVID vaccine were a minority, right? They were a smaller group of people. The majority of the masses, because they're being controlled by the devil, they drank the COVID Koolaid, and therefore they bought everything that the government was saying. They didn't have spiritual eyes or spiritual ears to see behind the scenes, to hear behind the scenes, so they bought what was being sold at the forefront, okay? And those that knew better, like myself, and perhaps you, chosen one, that had spiritual eyes and ears, we knew better because of the discernment that the Lord gave us. The Lord said way back then, 4 years ago when this was going on, don't do it. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, right? And those of us that listened, here we are now, it paid off for us in the long run. Maybe at the time we were ostracized and judged, but fast forward 4 years later and look at us now, right? And so this is the very same thing that's happening at this time, is that was the devil trying to do what he could to infiltrate and take over people's minds. The devil wants as many people to drink his indoctrinated Kool-Aid as possible. And the thing of it is that there's a minority group of people, true blue Christians, aka chosen ones, that are being led by God and angels and refuse to drink it, okay? And if you refuse to drink it, you're going to be beaten down, even if it's verbally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, even physically in some cases. You're going to be exonerated, ostracized, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have this, like, imprisoned, the Lord is saying, right? Thank you, Lord, hallelujah. And he means spiritually or physically, right? You're going to have a blowback, so to speak, from those that have drank the Kool-Aid, because in their mind, they think it's so obvious, just drink the Kool-Aid, you know? I don't understand why people think that they have another option. I don't know why they think they're better than it. I mean, if I took it, you can take it. They're telling us to do it. Just trust what they say. Like, this is the mentality behind drinking the proverbial Kool-Aid, right? But it's not a sound agenda. It's being patrolled and governed by the devil, okay, and his minions, aka his demons, right? And so many people, the majority of people, are buying into it and running there. Whereas myself and you, chosen one, and God's other true children, his true chosen ones, they know better. So yeah, you know, I was one of the ones standing up against the COVID vaccine. I got a lot of backlash for it. I was pretty much the only one that felt that way, acted that way, thought that way. Fast forward 4 years later, when all the smoke dies down and all the dust settles, and I have the people around me back then who bought into it and drank the Kool-Aid, and now they regret it. They wish that they hadn't done it. And they see, if only they could have saw 2025 5 years ago, but they couldn't see it, right? They lacked that understanding or that long-term knowledge, right? So anyways, so that was that. And so the Lord is saying, here's phase 2. This is phase 2. So with Trump being elected, it's not all the doom and gloom and craziness that everyone's trying to make it out to be. Yes, there's going to be times that he's going to say and do things that are out of left field. We've already talked about that. But anybody would, right? Because they're human. Even I am, you know, one of God's servants, right? But even I can say things out of left field sometimes, right? It's because at the end of the day, as long as we're in our flesh suit on the earth, we're going to be prone to imperfection. And because the devil and his demons are constantly knocking on our door all the time to infiltrate us, it's even harder to, you know, stay on the straight and narrow 24/7, okay? Because the wicked doesn't sleep, right? So anyway, so with that being said, God is saying that those that are the Christians, right, they see behind the scenes when it comes to Trump. They see one thing versus the other. I have the ability to see black versus white. The Lord is saying gray. The Lord is saying that these ones that are that have drank the Kool-Aid, that are being ran by the devil, they see things in gray. It's like a blurred mixture of black and white put together. And the Lord is saying, no, it's either black or it's white, right? And myself and other chosen ones, true Christians, are able to see the difference between the black versus the white, right? The two opposing forces. We're able to see that, the dark and the light, if you will, whatever, right? So anyway, so now I want to get into the Gaza thing for a second, because this is another thing that the Lord was highlighting to me. So as we see, the latest thing is that Trump wants to take over Gaza. Everybody's jumping and hooting and hollering and saying, oh, this is so bad, this is so bad. But why though? But why though? Have you seen the photos of Gaza? Like, there's no life there. Everything is completely destroyed. And if you want to even go so far as to just think about the children, only the children, how can any of the innocent children have a decent lifestyle there? The country's completely war torn. You know what I mean? It's all torn up, and it's a war torn area, right? And I saw the photos of it, and it just looks like completely just destroyed. And so I'm not saying that Trump's idea of going and putting a resort and all this stuff is the best idea, but what I will say is I think what the Lord was showing me is where he's going with it is that, again, it's coming from, people are trying to paint it as this stuff is coming from bad intentions, but it's actually coming from good intentions. Like he's saying, they're trying to take something good and make it look bad. And the Lord is saying that this is what's going on spiritually and supernaturally at this time. And it's not even just involving Trump. This is to do with Christians and chosen ones. I myself and you, chosen one, we're being made to look bad at this time. Even though we're not guilty of anything, we're completely innocent. It's just like I didn't want to take the COVID vaccine, but I was looked at as a bad guy because of that decision. I didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't want to take the vaccine. But I was this and I was that. I was stupid and I wasn't thinking right and I'm crazy and blah, 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 all this stuff because I didn't want to take the vaccine, right? And that's how a lot of Christian people felt. And the only reason they felt that way is because the Lord advised us not to go ahead and do it. And then now years later, we're proven to be in the right. We made the right decision, right? We don't regret it. But those that didn't, that drank that COVID Koolaid, they do regret it, okay? And so this is the thing, is maybe we don't see it right now with Trump, right? But 5 years from now, we're going to see it. And I mean, give the guy some slack. He's been in office for 2-3 weeks now. Like, he's barely got the ball rolling, right? And the country was in such a disarray that it was going to take drastic measures and drastic efforts to turn things around, period. It's just like Canada. Canada is so far down the tubes right now that it's going to take some out-of-the-box thinking to be able to pull us back out. Because it took out-of-the-box thinking to dig us into this deep pit. It's going to take out-of-the-box thinking to pull us out. And Pierre understands this, okay? Not the liberals, but the conservative party does. And so this is the same thing, is that from Trump's mind, of course, everyone's expecting him to be like 10 feet tall and bulletproof and come up with these ironclad ideas, and that he's supposed to toe this perfect line. Your country, like USA and Canada, your country is completely messed up. Just like Gaza is messed up too. Like, the last 5 years of the devil giving people the Kool-Aid and being under the government and guise of certain people, whoever, Hamas or whatnot, who was controlling Gaza, and, Prime Minister Trudeau that's controlling Canada, and Biden that was controlling the States. All that's happened in the last 5 years is a big mess. All these places are just full of poverty and, depression and negativity and hatred and all this type of stuff, right? There's nothing positive. America's went down the tubes in the last 5 years. Canada's went down the tubes in the last 5 years, and so has Gaza, okay? So what Trump is wanting to do is, it's going to take something extraordinary to turn things around. What else should he do? Just turn his back on it like Biden did? Gaza has been in this situation, I think it's been a year and a half now, ever since October 7th, I believe it was 2023. Yeah. So it's been a year and a half now that Gaza's been in this situation, and I saw the photos, most recent photos, they've made no progress, right? They're trying to do ceasefires and stuff, because this is the other thing too. This is the other thing the Lord was saying. The people from Gaza and other people are trying to kick and stomp and tantrum and make a big deal that Trump wants to take over Gaza. And they're saying, oh, that's not right. Why are you trying to take over? Blah, blah, blah. Did we all forget how the war over in Gaza started in the first place? It's because they were trying to take over Israel. So how did we forget? It's only been a year and a half, right? So let me ask you this. Why is it okay that Gaza can try and take over Israel? That's a no-no. That's one thing. But then if Trump is trying to take over Gaza with good intentions, not to try to destroy anyone or take hostages and all this other stuff, but to try and rectify them and restitute them, right? how is that considered so evil and corrupt and so crazy? Like, I'm confused. And this is the thing, that I'm not here to defend Trump. That's not what my job is. I'm just putting out, I'm being obedient to the Lord, because that's my calling, my anointing, right? Is to make the videos on the things that the Lord gives me to say. So I'm doing such, and all I'm doing is speaking on behalf of the Lord and what he shows me and tells me, right? And reveals to me. And so the Lord was saying to me that he was just pointing out and reiterating, how is it that the whole thing that started in Gaza in the first place, the whole way that they got as bad as they are, was because they started it by going and trying to start a war with Israel. Like, out of all the places in the world, you choose Israel. Like, you know, it's one of the most religious based areas in the world, you know what I mean? And that's where you choose. And so they're wanting to take over Israel, and so therefore it started a war, right? And so the Lord was saying to me, how is it okay that Gaza put themselves in their bad way to begin with by going and trying to take over land that wasn't theirs, but yet when Trump comes along with good intentions to try to help them, not just turn a back on them or throw them some dollars, but actually try to come up with a concrete solution that could provide long-term support. And I'm not saying a resort or a casino or whatever it is the best plan or strategy, but what the Lord was highlighting to me is that that's not the point. Everyone's honing in on, oh, a casino, what's that going to do? Ha 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 ha, and laugh, laugh, laugh. No, the point is he's trying to create like jobs and infrastructure, right? And you got to start somewhere. You can't just snap your fingers and have everything rebuilt. So they're lucky that he's even trying to do and approach it in the way he is, because if Biden was still in there, he would just try and make them talk about ceasefires and throw money at them and walk away. But at least Trump is trying to come up with creative strategies, which is what it's going to take to try to get their economy back in gear, right? And this is what the Lord was giving me the other day, is that the Lord is wanting people to stand on their own 2 feet and be self-sufficient. So right now, the last year and a half, Gaza has been relying on money, handouts, first aid, Red Cross, like things like that, like help, and they're complaining and going on about how their kids are suffering and all this is suffering. But yet, the second that somebody comes along, and yes, Trump is a billionaire. Yes, he is. And he runs $1 billion country, the States. Yes, he does. So therefore, he is in a position with his connections and his money to be able to, and his strategic mind, to come up with ideas that he could, and so to me, I feel like Gaza should be looking at that as a big favor. Like he's maybe it's not the perfect plan of action, but he's throwing them a bone. You know what I mean? He's trying to do what he can. He doesn't have to do that. He can just turn his back on them like Biden did for last year, right? He could just throw some money at them and tell them to go figure it out. But the thing is, he's actually trying to come up with something that could maybe make them a sustaining country of their own, right? And part of me, if Gaza's not a country, I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'm not an atlas. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to get the message across. So you know what I'm talking about, right? If it is or isn't, I don't know. I'm not good with like social studies and geography, but that's not what my calling is. My calling is to deliver the word of the Lord. So bear with me, okay? And if you are one that's going to hone in on every little thing I'm saying and try and, put me to task because I didn't say something a certain way or I worded it off or whatever, well then that's the devil's spirit flowing through your veins. You drank the Koolaid and you need to go and talk to the Lord about that, because this message here is for those that understand, those that have spiritual ears that can pick up and read between the lines and hear what I'm saying. That's who this message is for. So if you are honing in on little intricacies and all this other stuff, this message is not for you. You're not here yet. You don't have spiritual ears, because only those with spiritual ears will be able to understand what I'm saying and get the big picture. Anyways, I digress. So anyways, Trump is trying to come up with a strategic approach, and maybe, every I isn't dotted and T isn't crossed. I understand that. But the nugget of the matter is that he's trying to come up with some idea that can get Gaza back on their feet and to where they're a sustaining country, city, whatever area of their own, right? And get jobs going and money flowing back into where, so that instead of just when we throw money at places like this, like Ukraine and stuff, it just puts band-aids on things. It's not an actual tangible solution to the problem at hand, okay? And so that's right. I see the logic where Trump's going, is that whether a casino resort, that's up for debate. But coming up with something that's going to generate, employment and money coming back in, and standing on, eventually getting to where after some time they get on their own feet, and then they won't need handout after handout after handout, assistance after assistance, right? And if they don't want to do it because they're too proud and they have this or that as a reason, they should at least care enough about their children, who they use as a poster cause for why they need this help and support all the time. If you want help and support for the children, which I agree they're 110% innocent, then wouldn't you want to do something that's going to actually restore, instead of, so this is the thing, is look where it's kind of like, this is what it would be like. Picture that you're living in your car, okay? And you are struggling and you're constantly needing handouts. And somebody that's rich, they come to you and they say, I'll give you a job at my company. And then you're like, well, how dare you say that to me? You're trying to insinuate that I can't get my own job, that, and they're trying to like twist it and tweak it and find a real negative spin on what this person's doing. And this person's saying, well, I could give you $100. Yes. And you could go and eat a meal and buy a new shirt and pants. But then what? What are you going to do next week when the $100 is spent, right? But instead, if I offer you a job, I understand that maybe it's not the perfect solution. You would still be in the position you're in, but you'll get a paycheck after 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, another one. And after 2 weeks, another one. And after 2 weeks, another one. And it'll be a consistent source of money coming in. And not only would it be a consistent source where you could save that money, invest that money, or whatever, but you could also feel better about yourself because you're taking care of yourself. If I'm constantly coming by every week giving you $100 bill, where is your thank you, Lord, evolution is what the Lord is saying. How are you evolving, right? How are you turning over a new leaf? How are you supplementing yourself internally if that's all I'm doing? I'm literally just giving you a Band-Aid. You're still living in your car. Yeah, maybe you ate. Yeah, maybe you have a new blanket, but you're still living in your car, right? You aren't, you're depressed in your mind, whatever it may be. You don't have any energy, things like this. But if you had a job, it would give you purpose to wake up every single day and to, take care of yourself, right? Because you'd be moving around, not stuck in this car all day. You'd be moving around energetic, etc. You know what I'm saying? This is the comparison, is that Trump is basically coming to Gaza and saying, I'll give you a job. And at this present time, they're living in their car in the back alley. They don't really have a lot of options, and they're not in a position to argue. Shoot a gift horse in the mouth, the Lord is saying. Hallelujah. They're trying to shoot a gift horse in the mouth. And again, I'm not trying to say that everything is buttoned up perfect. I'm just saying that that is the comparison here, right? So then that person says, oh, how dare you say this to me, and you're offending me, and why are you trying to allege I can't get my own job, like blah, blah, blah. And they're literally coming up with something completely off the wall that doesn't even make sense. That rich person would look at them and say, okay, suit yourself then. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not in your position. And I think that it would be favorable for you to take to take what you can get. You know what I mean? You're not really in a bargaining position the way that you sit right now, right? So take what is offered is what I would suggest. And most people would, if you were viewing that situation, you would think that the person that's living in the car that's refusing, they're the ones with the screws loose, right? But that's the same exact scenario. This is what I'm saying, is that all Trump is guilty of is trying to come up with a concrete solution that could try to get them back on track, to where I know at first it looks crazy and weird, but give it a year and see where you're at then, right? And then maybe you're fueling your own machine and you don't have to rely on everyone else for gas money. You know what I'm saying? This is what Trump's trying to do, which I can see it. It's not a Band-Aid solution. It's a long-term, more permanent solution, which is exactly what that area needs, okay? I'm just going to refer to it as an area. I think it's a country. Maybe it's a city. I don't know. I think it's a city. I'm not sure. Anyways, I'll just refer to it as an area for those who, don't, get perturbed. So the Lord was showing that to me. Now, going back to the Jimmy Kimmel thing. So like I said, I was watching him while he's doing his stand up, and I could see the devil in his eyes when he's looking straight at the camera. I'm not being a judgmental Christian. I've always felt that way about him, even 10, 15 years ago when I was still in the world, you know? I've always got that vibe from him, and I get that vibe from a lot of the late night talk show hosts, but in particular him. And here's the thing. Okay, it's one thing to knock on Trump. I mean, everybody knocks on their, political party in their country. I mean, it's par for the course. But he went a step too far and a step further by trying to judge Christians. Okay? Like, okay, what did I do or you do, chosen one, to him? He's trying to allege that Christians themselves are crazy to think that Trump is Christian. That's offensive. So if I was to call this out, it's judgmental, but him saying that and passing judgment on not only Trump but on Christians, that's perfectly fine. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is that Jimmy Kimmel relies on an audience, and so he knows that the majority of his viewers and audience are not Christian, because I'm a Christian, and even before I was a Christian, I've always got bad vibes from him. I believe 100% he's ran by demonic activity, just like so many people are. And so that would explain why he has the type of platform he has, and why, because Trump's not the only one. He basically makes his living off of making fun of people and judging people. And he's not funny, so I don't understand where the appeal is. He's a bully, basically, just in a suit. But anyways, so I don't understand why he's got to go and first is knock Trump, and he was taking little clips of what Trump talks about and going and skewing them to match up with his comedy hour. And then I read the comment section, because I also saw it online. I saw a clip of it online. I was reading the comments, and in the comment section, people were saying all this stuff about Christians, right? They're like, "Oh, I'm with you. How a Christian would think," because he's literally drank the Koolaid. He knows he's entertaining Kool-Aid drinkers, and he's trying to further have others encourage Kool-Aid drinking through the comment section, right? So he's just beating down Christians. He's beating them down on his show. Then they're getting beaten down on the comment section. And the Lord was highlighting all this to me and was showing me all of this for a purpose, for a reason, right? Is he was saying that this connects with the Trump thing, connects with Christians, where at this time, just like the COVID thing, the devil is on assignment and on agenda to have as many people drink the toxic, evil Kool-Aid as he possibly can. He pulled this stunt with the COVID thing, and I already spoke about that, and he's pulling it now with this whole Trump thing, right? Where facts are facts, and the devil's trying to skew things. So, COVID, it was what it was. The facts were there, but the devil was trying to use that as a basis to try and ostracize those that wouldn't take the vaccine. But more or less, it's because you wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid that they were selling you, okay? And so because you don't want to, there's something wrong with you. And then that's over now. So now they're trying to get people to do this with Trump. Trump is now the new COVID Kool-Aid, right? And if you don't go along with hating on Trump and putting down his agenda that he barely got started on and seeing him as a big tyrant bully, then there's something wrong with you. You see, the world was trying to bully us into taking the COVID vaccine and into buying what they were selling. But a small portion of us weren't going to go for that. Now they're trying to do it again with the Trump thing. They're trying to bully us into thinking ABC about Trump. And if we don't do it, then we're still in the minority ostracized group like the COVID thing, right? And so this is what I'm saying is it's not our fault as chosen ones and Christians that we can see the forest through the trees, that we have spiritual eyes and ears and can hear things between the lines and see things between the lines. It's just like the way I'm speaking right now. I have a heart of a message here that's very important, but there's people that have drank the Kool-Aid that are going to come across this video at some point in time because the devil sent them and be like, oh, all hung up about this and this. It's just like how Jimmy Kimmel got all hung up. He was talking about how Trump went to the prayer breakfast and that he's like, I can't believe that Trump thinks he's a Christian. He's pretending to be of God. He's not of God. And I can't believe there's Christians out there that think that Trump's a Christian. It's basically in a nutshell what he was saying. And yeah, it's as offensive as it just sounded coming out of my mouth, but actually more so because it's coming out of the mouth of a demon. You understand? And so this is the thing, is it's like, okay, really? Like, you're putting down Trump, which is bad enough, but and trying to bring God into it and trying to say, how would Jimmy Kimmel know if Trump is truly of God or not, right? What made him the judge and jury of that? Like, if you want to diss Trump, that's bad enough of itself, but then the point of interest you want to diss him on is that trying to question if he's truly of God or not. How are you of one to say that, right? Especially when it's clear and obvious from someone who is a Christian that I can clearly see that you have a demon running through your veins. So therefore, of course, a demon is going to say these things. What do you think a demon's going to say? God is awesome, God is great, and of course, Trump is a big God lover. Of course, the demon's not going to say that. You know what I mean? Of course, the demon's going to say the opposite. And Jimmy Kimmel knows that he has an audience. He has a social media platform. He has a presence on TV, and so therefore he's purposely, the devil is working through him to use his connections, his celebrity status. He's not a celebrity, but as his celebrity status, just like P. Diddy, to try to act out accordingly. And also, if he can get others to drink up the Koolaid, because he's already been bitten by the devil, he wants other people to be bitten too, just like vampires. You see the vampire movies, right? Vampires get bitten and they want to go around and bite other people so that those people can become vampires so they can go and bite other people, etc., etc. Well, Jimmy got bit by the devil, and now he wants other people to get bit by the devil. And so in actuality, in reality, Jimmy saying what he was saying further confirms to me that Trump is of God all the more. It just solidified it all the more. Because if Trump really wasn't of God, then Jimmy wouldn't have brought that up. He used that specifically as his basis for that skit, was to talk about that. Why didn't he say, oh, Trump's talking about Gaza. Oh, Trump is, trying to, whatever, like sign this bill or whatever. That's not what he was saying. He specifically brought up the fact that Trump was at the prayer breakfast and that Trump is not of God, and that any God lover that thinks that Trump is a God lover is out to lunch and crazy. That's basically in a nutshell what he was saying. So he honed in on Trump plus God plus Christians. And why? Like, that's very specific, to hone in on that specifically for 5 minutes, just to get a few laughs. It wasn't just for that. It was also so that he could spread the word out to the masses that let's dump on Trump and let's dump on Christians. That's what it was. And anyone that's of God will see that for what it was and hear that for what it was, right? And so this is the thing, is if you came across that skit and you thought it was funny, you're of the devil. You drank the Kool-Aid. If you can't see between the lines and hear between the lines, then you don't have spiritual eyes and ears and you drank the Kool-Aid. And you're a part of the problem. All the people that were in the comment section that were saying whatever they were saying that was all completely asinine, they're a part of the problem, not the solution, right? And they're trying to make it that Trump's the problem, but yet here Trump is the only one trying to come up with a solution for Gaza, right? And so again, I repeat, I'm not here to be his cheerleader. I'm not here to start a controversy or anything like that. I'm literally just pointing out the things that the Lord has pointed out to me. And the Lord has been highlighting this Trump thing to me for months. And fast forward to here we are in February, and we got Jimmy Kimmel honing in specifically, randomly out of the blue, that Trump was at a prayer breakfast and he's the furthest thing from God he's ever seen, and he can't really be of God, and any Christian that thinks that Trump is a Christian is out to lunch. Huh? Like, that's pretty specific and definitely a part of the demonic agenda, right? And, like, it's offensive. That's offensive. So even if he did have a Christian viewer that might have checked out his content or tuned into him, well, they're offended now and they're going to go away. Whether they like Trump or not, it's irrelevant. They're going to go away, because it's not that he dissed Trump, all of it. It's that he also dissed them. Like, I'm a Canadian. I'm not even living in the States. I didn't vote or disvote for Trump. I didn't vote him in or vote him out. But I'm offended. I was already offended. I don't like him because I can tell he has demonic energy. But I'm double offended now more than ever because I'm a Christian and he called me out saying, if I think that Trump's a Christian, and so it doesn't matter if I think Trump's a Christian or not. It's completely irrelevant. He called me out in his skit by saying Christian this, Christian that. Right? And so he's being offensive towards Christians. But yet, if anybody calls out a race or calls out something against LGBTQ or something, oh, you're offensive. but he can call out and diss and ostracize Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. And so this is the thing. It wasn't about Trump being a Christian or not. It wasn't about that. It was him trying to put the spotlight on Christians, trying to allude that Trump's not a Christian, and that, you know, using the word Christian and saying that any Christian that thinks Trump is a Christian is out to lunch. Like, and then doing this on purpose so that his comment section could blow up on YouTube and all the non-Christians could come in and chime in and jump on board and jump on top of all the Christians. Just like 5 years ago when everybody jumped in the comment sections and tuned into the radio news programs and jumped on the backs of those who didn't buy into the COVID crap. You see, it's no different. And so the Lord was showing me that this is the thing. It's not just about COVID. It's not just about Biden. It's not just about Trudeau. It's not just about Jimmy Kimmel. It's not just about Trump. All of these things are connected, even though they're all totally different things, different people, etc. But they're all connected by the common thread of angelic activity and demonic activity, right? And so I believe, personally, I believe that Jimmy Kimmel is ran by a demon, okay? Why else would you say the things you're saying? Period. Doesn't make sense otherwise. But I also believe that Donald Trump is being ran by angelic activity. And so far, I haven't really seen anything from him that goes full-blown straight demon. But of course, the demons want to make good things look bad and make bad things look good. So the fact that he's trying to help Gaza has to look bad, right? We have to push aside the fact that he's offering any aid or assistance in the first place. We have to push that off, and we have to hone in and focus on why is he going and trying to take over? Why is he trying to take over? That they're so laser focused on that, but missing all the other bits and pieces to the puzzle, right? It's like it's a 20-piece puzzle and they're only focusing on one of the 19 pieces. Like, what about the rest? But this is the same thing that Jimmy did, was he took a snippet of what Trump was saying and applied it, like knocked out everything else and just took a little clip and applied that to his little skit. And that is how that man has made his money and his success, is by doing that to people. Is basically profiting off of, you know, bullying people, judging people, fabricating things about people, twisting things, etc. And it's just wrong. So Jimmy Kimmel's going to be going under judgment for his comments and what he's saying and doing, his lifestyle. And he's just one of the many celebrities that are going under judgment and have been going under judgment. So there's the prophecy there, is that there will be some sort of judgment. Whether it's publicly known or not, it's irrelevant. The Lord has confirmed to me as of last night, due to his comments and the way that he makes his living. Look what happened to P. Diddy, right? This is the thing, is when you make your living off of things that aren't right, it doesn't matter who, what, where, when, why, the Lord is going to get you. And the Lord is not pleased at all whatsoever with the way that Jimmy was speaking in regards to Trump and in regards to Christians. And he's basically mocking God, mocking Jesus, and mocking God's followers. And God is not here for it. He's not. So Jimmy's going to be going under wrath and judgment in one way, shape, or form, whether it's public or not, for the commentary that he made in recent, but it has just been the type of person he is in general. Because it's been too long that he's been getting profited off of the backs of innocent people and trying to skew and mispercept things so that it looks a way that it's actually not. And then feeding the Koolaid to the masses, right? By the way that he behaves. Because this is the thing with the devil, is the devil knows that if he can get one main person to go and blast things from the rooftops, that there's so many sheep, like minion followers in the world, puppets, that that old saying, if everyone jumped off a bridge, would you? Yeah, they would. The way that the world is ran today, it's so indoctrinated that if a high profile person like a Jimmy Kimmel said, oh, we're all jumping off the bridge today, there literally would be people that would run and jump and partake in that, okay? No different than the whole, Jim Jones Koolaid thing, right? One person that said they were of God, but were actually ran by the devil, went and said, hey, everybody, come drink this Kool-Aid. And all these people went and did it. You wouldn't believe it if I told you, right? You wouldn't believe it if I said, yeah, one man was able to get hundreds of people to drink poison Kool-Aid. You'd be like, yeah, right, but that happened. And he caused hundreds of deaths. And so this is the same thing, is that Jimmy Kimmel is like that, where he's got thousands of followers, right? Much enough the same. tries to look away, he's not funny, ha ha ha, but is actually ran by a demonic spirit, just like Jim Jones was, and is trying to serve and dish up the Kool-Aid for everybody to drink, even though it's not a physical drink this time, it's a spiritual proverbial one, and people are sucking it up and sucking it back. And so it doesn't matter if this is being done physical in the Jim Jones case or spiritually in the Jimmy Kimmel case. Oh, that's funny, Lord Jim. Yeah, the Lord was just saying that. And it doesn't matter. The point is that the devil's in situation A and the devil's in situation B, okay? And the devil was in the P. Diddy situation, right? The devil is in all these situations, and this is what connects them, okay? The Biden administration, Trudeau, it's all demonic. And so this is how I started this message talking about was demonic activity and angelic activity. And again, I'm not trying to say, demons can be visited by angels and angels can be visited by demons, right? It's like I say, I'm a Christian person. I don't have a demonic, bit in my body. However, that doesn't stop the devil from trying to infiltrate me 24/7, right? And so this is the thing is even if we're Christian and chosen one of God, we can still have demons trying to jump in us from time to time. And that is what causes us to sin. That is what causes us to act out of character, right? And that's why we have to go repent to the Lord. And when we do, the Lord ostracizes that demon. He revokes it and it's gone, okay? So all Jimmy Kimmel has to do is go to God, the very God that he's trying to dismiss and mock. He just needs to go to God and say, please forgive me of my sins, God, and I repent, and God will be merciful to him, and that could spare him, right? But he's not going to do that because he's too busy, as recent times, just trying to mock and put down Christians and God and those that follow God, right? And trying to make them look like they're bad people and that they're not who they are and they're crazy and all this other stuff. So therefore it's unfortunate for him, but he'll be going under some sort of judgment for his comments. That's what the Lord revealed to me. So again, I don't know if it's going to be public or personal, or, and we won't know. It'll be behind closed doors. It doesn't matter. It's not our business. The point is that that's what the Lord is saying. So it's just like when Jim Jones did what he did, it happened, but you know where he went. He went to HE double hockey sticks, right? So this is the thing, is that you don't escape the Lord. You either pay the price on the earth when you're still living, or you pay the price in the aftermath, right? Either way, you're going to pay you're going to pay your debt, and the Lord will, depending on what it is, the Lord will go so far as that's one thing, but then will also tack the debt onto your loved ones, onto your children, your grandchildren, right? The Lord doesn't play. There's nobody that gets out unscathed, right? I've talked about this so many times on my channel. You either pay the piper when you're alive and you go under wrath and judgment, or you pay the piper after death, right? And even that way, it can still you can pay, and then you're still being double billed, and it can go on to your next generation that's having to go through life after you, right? So the smartest decision to make in life is to just follow God, because God will let you know if you should take the vaccine or not. God will let you know who these leaders really follow and who really represents these leaders of the world. But the fact that the world is ran in a way that one single person can run a whole country is beyond me, because there's no way that you're going to be able to successfully do that 100%. Because with how many people live in the United States of America? Billions, right? Millions and billions. And so, of course, if you have that many people having to, be directed by one man, aka Trump, of course you're going to have a whole bunch of people not getting with the program. One teacher has a hard time running a classroom of 20 students, and getting everybody on the same page, let alone one leader running an entire nation. So this is the thing, right? So anyways, in summary, that's what the Lord wanted me to talk about. He wanted me to talk about what I saw on Jimmy Kimmel. He wanted me to speak about that. He wanted me to speak out about how he's been highlighting it to me and showing me that there's a demonic agenda at play. It's happening behind the scenes. It'll sneak out on the forefront quite often. We see it all the time, mostly through Hollywood and celebrities and stuff. And that's why they experienced fires. And there's more things that they're going to experience on a grand scale and also on a small personal scale individually, right? Because the Lord isn't going to allow people to talk the way they are about Trump when God is the one that is directing what Trump is doing, right? And on top of that, even if Trump falls to the side and slips up here or there, the Lord knows, the Lord judges us based off of our hearts and our hands, okay? If for the most part we have clean hands and clean hearts and we keep the Lord first and foremost, the Lord will, he's merciful, right? But it's if we're being ran by a demon and we don't care and we want to put down other people that are trying to make the right decisions and right choices and do the best they can, and we don't repent and we have no reverence for God, and we go so far as to try to put down his children, his chosen ones, well, you just entered a whole world of mess for yourself, period, right? And that's just, again, this is the Lord speaking through me. This is what the Lord has to say. Okay, so again, I say Trump is not. I'm not here to, praise certain leaders and to speak positively about someone's and negatively about others and stuff. I'm just here to speak on behalf of the Lord. I understand that I might flub up myself and say the wrong thing like Trump does. Sometimes Trump says the wrong thing, right? So do I. That's just the way it is. Moses had a speech problem, a stuttering problem, right? You're not always going to speak so eloquently. And I honestly, truly believe that those who are so perfect and talk so perfectly on behalf of the Lord, those are the ones that I honestly don't believe are genuine, to be honest. It's scripted. It seems fake. Anybody can spend a week creating the perfect speech, the perfect script to go and say, right? And that's what a lot of these celebrities do. Like Jimmy Kimmel didn't just stand up on stage and wing it. He had a script writer and he'd prepared his show in advance, right? And so this is the thing, is when things are so lights, camera, action, everything is just so, and it's so on point and so bing bada boom, that makes me wonder about genuineness and authenticity. It does, because authenticity is saying the wrong thing sometimes, doing the wrong thing sometimes. That's part of being human. And so be careful for this is a side note the Lord's just telling me right now. Be careful for prophetic voices where everything is just so on point, right? That's a red flag. Typically the ones that the Lord has led me to that are most authentic and genuine and the real deal, they say the wrong thing, they misspeak, they flub up, they stutter, no different than Moses, right? And so this is the thing, is it's not an Amanda show where I come and I show just how on point I am and how all this is me just free flowing with what the Lord's telling me. And as we already know, while I'm speaking, the devil's constantly trying to take away my thoughts, and so that way I can't speak. Because if I'm on a train of thought and I'm thinking on my train of thought and I'm speaking at the same time, if the devil can take the words out of my mouth or the thought out of my mind and just snatch it, well, then I have to stop and think for a second, and it's a distraction tactic, right? And it happens to me pretty much every video I make. So that tells me I'm on the right track. If I was so out to lunch in left field, why would the devil try so hard to not have me speak? It just doesn't make sense, right? So obviously, again, like I say, the truth hurts. So the Lord wanted me to talk about the Jimmy Kimmel thing. I did. The Lord wanted me to talk about the Trump thing. So like I said, I'm not in agreement with all of the political things. I'm not even a big political follower or anything like that. But the Lord keeps bringing it back to me, and I'm like, why, Lord? And he said, because it's all connected. Like the Biden administration, the COVID, which I've talked about before in the past, by the way, Trump being reelected, the chosen ones, the American government, the Canadian government, like everything, like it's all interconnected. The celebrities, Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. It's all interconnected, right? And it's a big puzzle that I'm still unraveling piece by piece. The Lord is showing me certain things and has been showing me certain things about celebrities and Hollywood, certain things about politics and and also the connection between everything, right? And so I just put out the words as the Lord leads me to. So anyway, so this was an update that the Lord wanted me to talk about. The Gaza thing is that let's not hone in so much on the specifics of things, but the point of the matter, the crux of the matter, is that Trump is trying to, out of good intentions, come up with a solution that could lead to not only a stopping of war, which is the first time in a year and a half that anyone's had that thought, but also something that would make them be independent and self-sustaining, which is on par with the agenda that the Lord has been trying to drive. This is the same with the tariffs and stuff, is trying to get people. I can understand on a surface level why these things seem crazy and out to lunch. I see it too. I get it. I'm like 25% tariffs. Like, why? Like, Canada's sister countries with the States, so why? I can see the like betrayal, like the frustration and the misunderstanding. I can. However, if you look through at the bigger picture underneath the layers from a spiritual, supernatural way, you're going to see how perhaps this could be a benefit, right, in the long run. And also I wanted to add to that too, because this is something the Lord was saying the other day, is that the other benefit that comes from that whole tariff thing is that ultimately what Trump's wanting is Canada to secure their borders. Trump is going to task. Okay, he's stepping into the big shoes. He's trying to fill them as best he can. And I mean, at the end of the line, the guy's what, 70, 80 years old? Like, what do you think? Like, it's not going to be spot on perfect. The guy's like literally a great grandfather type of a thing, but at the same time, he's trying to be on point as much as he can, right? You can't say that he's not doing anything. And this is the thing, if he sat in the office just doing nothing, eating chocolate all day, then everyone would have a problem with that too. But he's actually made more movements in the last 3 weeks than the previous president did in like 6 months, And so this is the thing. But like I say, it's going to take drastic measures to fix these situations. And Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid is not going to do it anymore. You have to actually heal the wound from the inside, otherwise it'll just keep reopening, right? And that's exactly what's been happening to Gaza for the last year and a half. That's what's been happening to America and Canada for the last year and a half. So no more of doing that. And that's the thing, is Trudeau has been in charge over here in Canada for the last 10 years now, and he hasn't done anything. And so what's so wrong with Trump wanting to secure our borders? In my opinion, that should have been being done a long time ago. And so it's kind of sad that Trump has to implement, a consequence, right, in order to get the job done. Like, why isn't Canada's leader on it already? Like, how is it even a thing to begin with? You know what I mean? And this is the thing, is that the Lord is directing Trump to do what he's doing, to do it on behalf of the states, yes, but also take other places and countries to task as well, because it's not just the states. So many places, Mexico, Canada, etc., have all been just not ran properly in a long time, and the Lord has to start somewhere. And you got to start in baby steps to work your way up. It's going to take time. And I repeat, he's only been in office for I guess it's been, when he was inaugurated, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. It hasn't been long anyway, right? And so this is the thing, is it's just give it some time, give it some time to see how things play out. Like, when he announces something on Monday, you're already jumping on and poo-pooing it by Monday night. And it's like, well, just ride the wave and see what happens. Maybe in 6 months you'll see it was a positive thing, it was a benefit, right? But this is the thing, is people aren't going to have that opinion. They don't have that opinion about Trump. They don't have that opinion about Christians, because the majority of the world at this time is corrupt, and they've drank the Koolaid. And if they haven't drank it yet, there's people like Kimmel that are trying to get them to drink it in the future, so that the devil can try to corrupt as many people as possible, and simultaneously at the same time beat down those like me and you, chosen one, who haven't drank the Kool-Aid, right? The agenda is simple: make everybody drink the Kool-Aid and jump off the bridge, and turn around and make the people that don't drink the Kool-Aid and jump off the bridge look bad, look crazy, look weird, so that you think, oh, I don't want to be one of them. That's exactly what they did 5 years ago with COVID. So on that note, I'm going to leave it there. I will be back if the Lord leads me to with anything else. Again, those who have ears to hear will hear. They'll understand what I'm saying here. If you're hung up on, your feelings, and you're offended and this, that, and the third, you've drank the Kool-Aid, you've been bit by the devil. You and Jimmy are on the same page, and you and him both need to repent. So I'll leave it there. Take care, and God bless.